If you are going to make this macaroon cake, you are going to have to take special care with the ingredients because it's 2 recipes combined into one. And there are 2 sugars, so you need to be careful and keep track. I used the creaming method, but the reverse creaming method would work very well. After I organized my ingredients and scaled my vanilla, I started toasting the coconut. The coconut goes in the meringue, and I wanted to have time to cool and dry out before I fold it into the meringue. A traditional creaming method means that you mix the butter, soften it, and then you add the sugars in thirds, sift out the dries, and then add the eggs and the dries back and forth, ending with the dries. I'm multitasking while I work, so I pull the coconut from the oven and redistribute the toasted parts so that it bakes and dries out evenly. In this case, the wets are going to go into the butter very slowly and at room temperature to form a cohesive mixture. This is challenging though because it's a high ratio of liquid and the fat really can't hold all of it. If you take the time to cream the butter and sugar well, this will help. I'm using the most beautiful farm eggs. You can see how bright yellow they are. The yolks need to be mixed, not aerated, before being added to the batter. I'm mixing on low, so the scraping is an insurance policy that I won't overmix. Now there's no gluten in there, so I can't overwork the gluten, but when you're mixing something that is not emulsifying with so much liquid, you have to use other means of getting it combined. I added the sifted dries in thirds at the very end of mixing. I created a parchment collar for the meringue so that it has something to support it as it grows upward, but I also use parchment to create a strap of sorts to pull the cake out of the pan. If you flip the cake out of the pan to cool, you will crush the meringue. I spray the parchment collar as an insurance policy to make sure that the meringue can rise as high as possible. When you pan the batter, you want to make sure that you're aiming for the center of the pan and that you're gently pushing the batter toward the edges but not up the edges. Those will bake quickly, dry, and then the inside or middle of your cake will fall. The cake is going in the oven for 20 minutes while I prepare the meringue. The goal is to have such a light and delicate cake that it matches the light and delicate meringue, but the meringue is crunchy and the cake is soft. The point of the meringue is to dry it out but not over dry it. The meringue is shiny and glossy and still has a lot of stretch to it. It's not too dried out. This means that the protein strands are well connected, which is equal to a strong meringue. Some lime zest added to the toasted coconut is a nice flavor pairing. And I add and fold the coconut in thirds so as not to deflate the meringue. Add the meringue to the top of the cake very gently. Do not smush it and push it up the edges. After approximately 20 minutes in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven, the cake is slightly baked, but it's actually very delicate. Work very quickly because the temperature of the cake is going to come down very rapidly. I pulled the cake out and then put it back in the oven. I used a thermometer, and when it came to 205 degrees Fahrenheit, I pulled it. Removing the cake from the pan at the right time and cooling it properly avoids moisture from being reabsorbed by the cake. Starches in the cake need to be dry to hold the cake up, and the meringue needs to be dry to be crunchy and delicious. The outside and the inside showcase that this is 2 cakes in one. The textural differences are visual and edible. Crunchy top, a soft coconutty middle, and then a lovely light yellow cake with a dark bottom.